Today we're talking about making a slab mug. You're going to need a Pringles can, a piece of paper I gave you, a ruler, something to mark it with. So we're going to use this paper first to make a basic paper template so we get started. So you're going to make it as tall as you want. You have a big enough can to do that. Or you can go as short as you want. The shortest you want to go is about 4 inches. It's about as short as you want to go. I'll tell you that right now. You want to go about 4 inches in size is what you want to go to. Don't go any smaller than that. That's really important. You want to make sure of that. So it's at least that size. So 4 inches is about there. I'm going to probably end up going 5 inches for my size. All right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off 5 inches on this paper. I'm going to draw a line so I kind of know the size of what I have here. And then the last thing you know is around the Pringles can, it's about 11 inches. It can vary in size a little bit. You may have to cut some of your slab after the fact, but I like to go a little bit bigger. And the reason I like to go a little bit bigger is it's just safer that way to make sure if you have extra size, it's always easier to cut clay away than to remove clay. So I'm gonna go 11 inches. And I'm going to cut this piece out, and that's going to become part of my template. I'll go through that part next. As you can see here, I have my paper all lined out. I have it marked. You can see this is, I think I went 5 inches tall. Let me see. I went about 5 inches tall, and then it's 11 inches long. So now I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to cut it out. So I have my piece that's going to go around the Pringles can. It looks a little big. You say, well, obviously it looks really big. But like I said, you can always remove clay, cut stuff away. You definitely want to make sure it's a little bit bigger than you have. And then this last piece of paper you have here with your extra, you're going to do a couple things with it. One thing you do is you're going to make your bottom of your piece. So you just take your Pringles can or whatever can you're using, and that's become the bottom of your piece. Trace it out. Perfect. And this has become your bottom piece. Like this. You put your mug together. You're going to have a little bit of an overlap. You're going to do that, and that's what your mug's going to be. The rest of the paper is going to be for making your handle. Now, when you make your handle, we'll go to the next step in a second, you're going to make it so it's going to stick, like almost like a question mark shape is what you want to do. So that's what I recommend is a good handle shape. You can change it however you want. This is what I kind of recommend doing. So you have kind of a handle shape like that. And then we're going to tape it all together, and I'll show you that. And then we'll get some clay cut out and go from there. What we're going to do now is, we have all our pieces cut out. We have our handle, the bottom, and the piece of the mug itself, the body of the mug. And we're going to tape it together first. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it's close to the size I want of this bottom. It's a little big right now, but don't, like I said, don't go crazy about it quite yet. So take a little piece of tape, tape it together. So that'll hold it together if I have to for now. I'll take another piece of tape, so it doesn't come off on me because I can see it doing that. So I have it there, and then I just put my bottom. See how it's going to fit. See, I got to make sure it's going to fit. It'll be pretty close. It's going to go a little bit smaller. Just a bit more. Look at that. That becomes my bottom. Just take a piece of tape, hold it in place for now. It's gonna be a little rough because it is paper. Clay bends a little bit better. And my handle, it's gonna go, I'm gonna double check the handle size I have. Yep. And that's what I'm basically gonna make my mug. It's gonna look like this. So this becomes my whole entire template. This is gonna be a coil of clay. All the rest of it's gonna be out of slabs. I'm gonna add some texture to it and we can see what it looks like from there. I'm here beginning to roll out a slab. One thing I do is I throw the clay down kind of at an angle first. You might have to use a table or something like that to make it work. Then I roll the rolling pin with the sticks on it, rolling it back and forth, flipping the clay over and rolling the clay out to get the desired thickness I want it to be. It should be 1/4 inch thick. It's the thickness of the sticks. I just keep flipping it and rolling it. Once I'm done rolling out the clay, I will then go back over with the rubber rib or the rib you made, kind of smooth the clay out a little bit so it's nice and smooth, ready to go for the texture. I'm using a little roller texture on your piece. You can use whatever you want. You can press things into the clay. You can use like the back of lace. You can use lace, the wall, whatever. You can use the rolling pin and put things on there and roll them and press them in there, whatever you want to do. Just make sure the clay doesn't get too thin. That's one thing you got to be aware of. You can press like the back of a screw in there, like the back of a screw, a nail, whatever you want to put in there to kind of add more texture and shape to it. When the clay is flat, this is a really cool trick to do to really enhance your piece a bit. It makes it come out looking really cool. So press lots of things in there. That's what I really want you to do for this mug. I have my slab all rolled out with the texture on it. I need a Pringles can. For the next step, I'm going to take apart my form I already have. I'm going to use the part there, the part that wraps around it to cut out my slab. That's going to be the basic body of my mug. So I just put that on top of my slab and I take my knife and I'm going to go around and trace and cut it out is what I'm doing. So just trace it around and then cut it out and remove the rest of the excess clay. I keep the other excess slab around for a while because I'm going to eventually trace that out and use that for the bottom of my mug. Once I have the slab cut out, I'm going to wrap it around the Pringles can. I'm going to double check the size of the Pringles can and all that. I'm going to take one sheet of newspaper and wrap it around. It only needs one piece of tape to hold together. You don't want to make it really firm on there because if you do that, you're not going to be able to get the slab off afterwards. And I'll demo that. What I'm now doing is rolling my slab onto the Pringles can, taking the measurement, seeing how it fits, and I'm going to have to cut off some excess clay. It's better to cut off some excess clay than to try to add clay on. So I just kind of follow on that line, measure and cut it off is what I'm doing there. What I do now is I'm going to cut 45s on each side as best I can. I use the edge of a table. You can use the edge of your board to help out with this. So I cut the 45 one way, and then I'm going to flip the clay over and cut the 45 the other direction. This will help when I wrap the clay around the cylinder, the Pringles can. It will match the form. It helps out with that a little bit. So I just cut that 45, and then when I roll it together, everything will match. And this is very important. Once I have my 45 cut on both sides, I'm then going to wrap it around the Pringles can. Kind of press the seams together. I can add a little vinegar if I want to the seams, so it helps weld it together, but the clay is the same consistency. Once this is done, I got to let the piece sit for a while. I let it sit for 30-40 minutes, or I wrap it up in a bag, as I'm demoing here, and let it sit till the next day. Just put it in your box. Since my slab's set for a day or a couple hours, whatever, I now can take it out from the Pringles can. I push the Pringles can up first, squeeze the newspaper, so there's only one piece of tape on there. Now, as I said earlier, my slab doesn't match. The circle I originally cut doesn't match, so I have to roll out a slab out again, trace around, and cut this out is what I'm doing. And I'm just tracing around, cutting out my circle, getting it ready for the next step. Once I made sure everything matches, I'm going to score both pieces that I'm going to join together. So I score them both, and then I'm going to apply some slip or vinegar, which I have here. Just apply the vinegar to both areas. And and then I'm going to press them together. Work on the edge. I can press the middle down a little bit, that's okay. And then kind of make sure it's well willed up there. I blend up the seam up into the piece. I can press things into it and make sure it's well blended. Use a stick. And if I want to add more texture, I can do that right to the bottom. Just roll something around there. But I want to make sure it's really well, good and pressed, bonded on there. The last thing I'm going to do with my piece is smooth the lip. Right now it's really flat. I want to give it kind of a round shape to it, because a lot of cups you have at home have a round lip. So I just get it kind of wet with a sponge, and then I just kind of get it wet, and I'm taking my finger and I'm going the edges and do that. I can also pinch my fingers together and go along that lip as I'm doing right there, kind of make it nice and round. A lot of things have a round lip because you want to be able to drink out of it. If it's a sharp edge, you're not going to want to use it. So you got to make it nice and round. When I'm making the handle, I'm going to use to roll out a coil. I use my paper template as a guide. I'm going to roll the coil out like the shape of a carrot though. So I'm going to go from a thick to thin. The top part's going to be thick, the bottom half's going to be thin. Then once I get the shape coil rolled nice and round, I'll get my fingers a little bit wet, kind of press the clay a little bit more, again to shape it. I'll take my thumb, press down one side as I put a groove in it, and flip it over and do exactly the same thing on the other side. Then I'm going to cut the excess clay, remove it, and then I'm going to use my template to kind of measure my handle to make sure it matches that same size. Cut away any excess clay I need to remove, and I'll be ready to go. Once I've done making sure it fits, I'm then going to kind of take the coil and begin to press the front end of it so it has more of a flat area to be able to joint onto the piece. So I press both little areas a little bit, kind of press them down, make sure it fits, and then I'm going to score and slip those two pieces together by adding on, you can score it with my fork, and then come back, add some vinegar, add some slip, and then I'm going to press the two pieces together. Press the top really well on there, and then once I know that's on there really well, I'm going to press the bottom and begin to blend both pieces together. That way I make sure the handle is really firm and secure. Once I have the handle on there, I do not grab it at all once it's on. I'll take a sponge, smooth it out, smooth around the design, smooth around the piece, smooth around the top and the bottom. Make sure it's really, really pressed on there really, really well. If I want to, I can also add a little finger grip. I take a little ball of clay, press my thumb in there, get it wet, press, blend on there, and have a nice little grip on there for my thumb. Once everything's done, I'll flip it over, take my tool, put my initials in the bottom of it with whatever period you are in my class, and my mug is done. As you can see here, I'm on this mug here, I'm smoothing the lip a little bit better. This is a good example of using your thumb and your pointer finger, kind of going around, smoothing that lip to round out that lip. To make it nice and round so it's easy to drink out of. This mug here I'm going to manipulate a bit and actually put a face onto it. I'm now going to begin to design my face on my mug. I'm going to come in here, push the inside out with my one finger, and push on the other hand, push it out a bit. Kind of going to shape it that way. Once I have that done, I'm going to begin to work on the edge or like the brow of the top of the head, so it kind of sinks in a little bit more, so it gives like the illusion of more depth there for the nose. Once I'm done doing that, I will take a wooden tool. I'm going to add a line to make the mouth, and then I'll kind of get my mug started with a little face on it. First half of this montage is me doing a little more general shaping, getting the cheeks out a little bit around the mouth, and then I'm going to add a small tiny coil to it. I'm going to score and slip that on and blend it on with some vinegar. Then I'm going to flip it over, blend the bottom half of it so the lip's kind of there, and then I'm going to flip it back over and repress the mouth back on there. Then add some teeth to give it that gnarly little look,
of a monster kind of a cup. And that's what I'm working on right here. Now I'm going to begin to add the eyeballs onto it, make little balls of clay, make sure they're about the same size, then take some vinegar, a little bit of slip, put them on there, press them on there really well, go back in, press in the inside of the eyeballs, so they show up. I'm also going to add some coils around it, the top and the bottom, so I can make the eyelids, so they'll stand out a little more that way as well. So I take some small little coils, put them on top there, and then put something on the bottom of it as well, kind of make it stand out a little bit so it looks like some eyes, so the eyes are just popping out. And then I'll take them, blend them on there a little bit, and make it all look complete.